Hey Sean, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. It's great to be here. How are you?
Beautiful. I'm doing just fine too. Thank you so very much for being here. And you see, Sean, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often because I feel like it is important. So firstly, Sean, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Sean, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Sure. You see, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it. But you see, Sean, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. Oh boy. It was a beautiful moment that day, I tell you. I was really, really excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Sean that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show. Because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, the impact your work is having, your philosophies, your insight. It is amazing. And I said to myself before I texted you, I said, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things that Sean is doing. And not only me now, and even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Sean. So thank you so very much, Sean, for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much, my man.
Man, those are such kind words. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. Thank you for allowing me to speak to your audience.
Beautiful.
It's been a long journey to get here, and we're still moving forward, obviously. But I'm excited with what's going on and with what God's doing in my life, and so I'm just happy to be here and hopefully can serve you and your audience well.
Awesome. That's just it. I love that. Okay, let's get started, my man. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Sean, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Sean, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Sean on the show is for the sake of the listeners. Say, Sean, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high opening, and very important information, of which I'm totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Sean, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, sir.
Yeah, man. So I've been married for about 8 years. We've got two beautiful boys, two young boys. They're rambunctious and wild and a lot of fun. Started off, I went to college and graduated college and joined the corporate world. I was in the corporate world for about 8 years or so. Really didn't enjoy what I was doing. I'd done it for a long time. It was a simple job. It was a job that I was good at. Always wanted to do something more. Always wanted to be my boss. Always wanted to make a bigger impact than I was making there. And I just felt like to some extent I was wasting my time and wasting my talents. And then the other piece to that was this was right before we had our second child. So we're a one income household. So with what I was making at that company, I really wasn't able to support my family in the way that I needed to. And there was no real opportunity for me to move forward and be able to make more income. So at that point, I knew that I had to make a decision on what to do. So I moved forward with a job opportunity with a solar company for a sales position. Worked that job for just a couple months. I was knocking on doors, trying to sell solar panels, in the evening, talking to folks when they got home from work. They typically were not happy to see me. They just wanted to get home, get in their house, and, go on about their day. But so I did that for just a few months and learned some good stuff from that as far as interacting with people, as far as some sales skills, things of that nature. But I just really didn't enjoy it. I wasn't confident in what I was selling. I wasn't confident in what I was doing. So from that point on, I did that for a few months, and then I switched over to doing home repair and remodel work. This is something that I had some experience with, and I went to doing that full time, running my own business. So in the process of doing that, I was already doing some fitness coaching on the side. I was working with some friends of mine. I was working with some men that I had some connections with, doing it very part time, but really enjoying it. And so there for a point, I was kind of building two businesses at one time. I was building this home repair, home remodel handyman business, which was in some sense paying the bills. And I didn't mind that work. I just didn't really enjoy it. And then on the other side, I was doing this online, strength training and fitness coaching, which is something I'm very passionate about and something that I do enjoy doing. So it eventually got to the point to where I was spending a lot of time on the home repair business, building it when I didn't want to be building it because I didn't want to be doing it anymore. So I kind of came to this realization of like, why am I spending so much time building a business that I don't want to have when I could transfer that time and energy and put it solely into the men's strength and nutrition coaching business, which is what I'm actually passionate about. So made that decision about 6 months ago to go full time into this men's strength training and nutrition coaching. I've hired some business coaches, some mentors that I've worked with along the way. We're starting to pick up. We're starting to do fairly well. We're starting to see a real positive impact in men's lives, and that's really what I'm after. So that's just kind of a high level view of what's gotten us to where we are now.
Amazing. That's a beautiful one. The fact that you were going after what you're passionate about, your purpose, that's a great one. And it's so good to know how beautiful everything is going right now. So I'm going to pick the first question from talking about overcoming self-doubt. Okay, so how has your faith helped you overcome self-doubt? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So the first piece to that would be understanding that God does have a purpose in my life. I put a lot of focus on staying in personal connection and personal relationship with Him. So I spend a lot of time in prayer and trying to figure out what that mission is, what that purpose is. And through that prayer, through that constant kind of digging and just trying to get closer to Jesus, just trying to learn like, okay, God, I know that you have a reason for me being here. I know that, you've made me the way that you've made me with my certain strengths and my certain weaknesses. I know what I enjoy doing. So how does that fit into your plan? So there was a lot of prayer, a lot of frustration, even trying to figure it out, because when you're trying to find like what your purpose is, or even what you're supposed to do next, because I believe in our lives, at different stages of our lives, we have different purposes. So even just trying to figure out like what your next step is can be super frustrating at times, because we have our own timelines as humans, and our timeline and God's timeline doesn't always match up. So we think we know best at times when, in all reality, he knows best. He's got the whole picture in mind when we've just got this kind of small snippet of where we are. But through that prayer, through that reflection, through that, just paying attention to my life and what's happened in my life, and kind of just came across this. I felt like he had spoke to me, and he told me, he was like, I need you to make my men strong again. My understanding right now is, I think in this, not only in our country, United States specifically, because that's where I am, but we have this almost like a sickness, almost like an epidemic in men today, where they feel that the quote unquote toxic masculinity, and it's pushed men to the point to where they've gotten very soft and very weak, not in a sense of like, they're unkind, because that's not what I mean. Men are supposed to be kind, men are supposed to be gentle, but men are also supposed to be bold and courageous and are called to lead themselves, lead their families. But I just don't see that a lot now. So, but that kind of plays into strength and nutrition, is to the fact that you controlling your body, you controlling what you eat, what you put into your mouth, how disciplined you are, is the first step to stepping into the leader that God created you to be, because that's the first step into leading yourself. So that's an area that I have a lot of experience in. So that was kind of like, okay, God, I've done this. I've been working out and paying attention to my nutrition and being very disciplined for over a decade now. So I've learned a lot along the way. I've learned a lot from people that are further ahead than me. So now I can take this and I can teach it to guys that are ready to kind of step up, step into that leadership position and start, moving towards a life that is filled with purpose and intention instead of just drifting through life and not really knowing what they're doing.
Not really knowing what they're doing. That's amazing. And I used to be like that, Sean. You see,
Me too, man.
I
You and me
tell you,
both.
I was always drifting around, just trying to survive and just, just survival. And it was so frustrating, I tell you, because more like the more I try to get to it, the more it get worse. Until that day when I had an intentional conversation with the Holy Spirit. I said, I know this ain't what you want me to do, but I'm just doing it because I just want to survive. What exactly do you want me to do? Why exactly am I here? Then, after that conversation, Sean, my life never remained the same. So I understand what you're saying. It's very important to discover who you are and function in it under God's influence. And that's why I'm so happy that I'm getting to speak to someone who understands this truth. It's amazing, I tell you. So let us talk about habits. All right. So why is it important to teach kids healthy habits early?
Yeah. So when I talk to parents, specifically dads, I tell them, I'm like, hey, you know how when you were a kid, you didn't really do what your parents asked you to do? Sometimes you did what you saw them do. So it's kind of, that phrase, do as I say, not as I do. Well, that comes from somebody that's not leading themselves well. That comes from somebody that's not teaching their kids example, not leading their kids by example. So the importance of, I don't even want to say teaching habits because we are teaching habits to a degree, but what I want to kind of put some emphasis on is your children are watching you at all times. So by them doing that, are they picking up bad habits or are they picking up good habits? So that's a question that I ask a lot of my clients, or even my potential clients and guys that I work with. It's like, hey, when you get up in the morning and you get up late because you didn't discipline yourself to get up on time, you hit the snooze button and then you grab a Pop Tart or you grab some kind of sugary, fruity cereal that is horrible for your body and for your health. That's what your kid's going to do. So, you might be eating a lot of fast food, you might be eating a lot of junk. If your kids are watching you do that, your kids are going to start doing that, which means from a very young age, your kids are not going to have a good relationship with food. They're not going to know what good fuel, what good nutrition looks like because they never saw you put an emphasis on it. So then as they get older, they're going to have the same terrible food habits that you had because you never taught them and led them by example of how important it is to fill these bodies that God gave us with good fuel and fuel that pushes us forward and fuel that moves us towards our purpose instead of fuel that makes us feel drowsy, leaves us feeling sick, is horrible for our immune system or our mental clarity. So that's the biggest piece of that is doing things in our own lives that our kids can see us doing, and then they pick up those habits automatically.
Get that? In other words, imagine a father telling a son, you've got to love people. And now the father speaking doesn't even show love or demonstrate love to others. It'll be very difficult for the kid to practice or imitate that. In other words, you lead not just by your words, but even with your actions. I got that. That's a beautiful one, Sean. Okay, so what are the biggest struggles men face with self-confidence?
That's a good one. So, tying into what we're already talking about, one of them, when you're extremely overweight and unhealthy, you feel bad, and just physically feeling bad can hurt your self confidence because you don't like the person that you see in the mirror. So, that's one piece to it right there. The other piece to it is, when I talk about guys leading and men really stepping into that leadership role, one of those things is men's desire for respect. Men have a very, very heavy desire that's been given to us by God for respect. And when we are living in a way that we are not leading ourselves well, that we are not leading our families well, oftentimes what you see is you see children that don't respect their father. You see wives that don't respect their husbands. You see coworkers that don't respect you because you're not living in a way that shows that you respect yourself. And if you're not, as a man, if you're not getting that respect that you so crave, that God put that desire in your heart, the self-confidence is just not even going to be there at all. Does that make sense?
A lot, my man, a lot. And I got that, and that's really, really deep. Okay, the last one. All right. So, what daily practices can help a man strengthen his confidence in Christ?
The biggest daily practice that can help a man strengthen his confidence is keeping the promises that he makes to himself. So, with self confidence, you have to build some kind of trust within yourself, meaning you have to teach yourself that you can trust yourself. And the way that you do that is keeping promises you made to yourself. Meaning, if you say you're going to get up at a certain time, you actually get up at that time. If you say we still good?
Yeah, we're still good. Go on, please.
Okay. Meaning if you say you're going to work out today, you go work out today. Meaning if you say that you're not going to eat fast food today, you actually don't eat fast food. And the best way to do that is just to start very small. So pick one thing that you're going to do every day for the next week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Okay. Maybe that's drink 64 ounces of water per day. Maybe that's go on a 30-minute walk. Whatever it is, start small and start building that self-confidence. Start keeping those promises that you make to yourself on a daily basis. And as you do that and as your confidence grows, you can add more and more, which will in turn continue to build your self-confidence up and your self-respect up.
That's amazing. And I got that. I got that. Can you still hear me? Okay, there we go. Can you hear me, Sean?
Yes, I got you, man.
Okay, beautiful. So I said to bring this to an end, Sean, it has been a beautiful moment with you on the show. What would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
Yeah, man. So final thought would be, and I want to speak, I'll speak to men and women, specifically men though, because that's primarily who I work with. We spend so much time wasted in life, and we spend so much time drifting, not knowing what we're supposed to be doing, not even trying to step into our purpose, but we get kind of bogged down by the day-to-day stuff. And then all of a sudden we wake up one day and we've spent, 10, 15, 20 years in this job that we don't like, or just not really living with intention and purpose. So my final thought would be just take an inventory of your life, where you are now, and decide what parts of your life you don't like, and then start working intentionally to improve those parts of your life. Be intentional with the time that you have, because time is the only thing that we don't get back. And really just wake up and start living with purpose and living with intention. And as far as connecting with me, social media platforms, X at the Sean McManus, Instagram at the Sean McManus, and then Facebook just at Sean McManus. And I would love to connect and, reach out with any questions. I'd love to answer any questions that you have.
Awesome, beautiful, my man. So that's going to be the end of the show. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this incredible, eye-opening stuffs. It means a whole lot, Sean. Thank you.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here and been such a blessing to speak with you.